The geopolitical chessboard has been irrevocably altered. 4 years of America First policies challenged long-standing norms, leaving a legacy of unpredictability and shifting allegiances. As the dust settles, analysts suggest we are witnessing not a return to the status quo, but an acceleration towards a new global order. This transformation demands a closer look at the forces now shaping our collective future. One of the most profound impacts has been on the architecture of international cooperation. Geopolitical trends indicate a significant weakening of multilateral institutions, with traditional alliances strained and trust diminished. Strategic data points to a growing preference for bilateral deals over collective action, fostering an environment where states prioritize national interest above shared global challenges. This fragmentation presents both risks and new opportunities. The intensifying US-China rivalry remains central to global power dynamics. While trade disputes initially defined this tension, analysts now observe a comprehensive strategic competition across technological, military, and ideological domains. Strategic data points to a decoupling in critical sectors like semiconductors and AI, signaling a long-term struggle for global technological supremacy. This contest profoundly influences supply chains and economic policies worldwide. Europe's security landscape has undergone significant re-evaluation. The questioning of NATO's purpose and funding during the Trump era spurred European nations to consider greater strategic autonomy. Geopolitical trends indicate a renewed, yet complex, commitment to transatlantic ties, juxtaposed with an increased focus on European defense initiatives. This dual approach reflects a desire for resilience amidst evolving threats and shifting US foreign policy priorities. Control over critical resources, particularly rare earth minerals and energy, has become a sharper point of geopolitical contention. Analysts suggest nations are actively diversifying supply chains and investing in domestic extraction to reduce dependency. Strategic data points to increased competition for access in Africa and Latin America, alongside a global push for renewable energy sources, which itself creates new resource demands and geopolitical leverage points. The weaponization of trade and tariffs reshaped global supply chains, exposing vulnerabilities previously overlooked. Geopolitical trends indicate a shift from just-in-time to just-in-case strategies, prioritizing resilience over pure efficiency. Strategic data points to significant reshoring initiatives and the establishment of parallel supply networks, particularly for essential goods and technologies. This re-engineering aims to mitigate future disruptions and enhance national security. Russia has strategically leveraged the perceived disarray in Western alliances, asserting its influence in various regions. Analysts suggest Moscow has capitalized on opportunities to strengthen ties with non-Western partners and challenge established international norms. Strategic data points to increased military deployments and diplomatic maneuvering in the Middle East and Africa, aimed at expanding its geopolitical footprint and challenging US hegemony in a multipolar world. The Global South is emerging as a more cohesive and influential geopolitical force. Analysts suggest that countries in Africa, Latin America, and parts of Asia are increasingly asserting their own interests, often seeking non-aligned positions between major powers. Strategic data points to growing intra-regional cooperation and a desire for greater representation in global governance, challenging the traditional Western-centric international order. Technological dominance has become a paramount geopolitical objective. The race for supremacy in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and advanced semiconductors defines the new frontier of power. Geopolitical trends indicate nations are implementing industrial policies to foster domestic innovation and protect sensitive technologies. Strategic data points to increasing export controls and intellectual property disputes, highlighting technology as a critical tool of national power. Military strategies are adapting to a more complex threat environment. Analysts suggest a renewed focus on hybrid warfare, cyber capabilities, and deterrence against near-peer competitors. Strategic data points to significant investments in advanced weaponry and space-based assets, reflecting a shift from counter-insurgency to high-intensity conflict preparedness. This evolution impacts regional stability and international arms control efforts. The competition over economic corridors, exemplified by China's Belt and Road Initiative, continues to reshape global trade routes. Analysts suggest nations are now scrutinizing these investments more closely, weighing economic benefits against geopolitical influence. Strategic data points to alternative infrastructure projects emerging from Western alliances, indicating a broader struggle for connectivity and control over critical trade arteries. The role and effectiveness of international institutions are under intense scrutiny. Geopolitical trends indicate a desire for reform within bodies like the WTO and WHO, reflecting a recognition that current structures may not adequately address contemporary challenges. Strategic data points to some nations bypassing these institutions, opting for ad hoc coalitions, further fragmenting global governance and challenging the post-war liberal order. Domestic political polarization and populist movements increasingly dictate foreign policy choices. Analysts suggest that internal political pressures can lead to unpredictable international actions and a greater emphasis on nationalistic agendas. Strategic data points to public opinion surveys influencing diplomatic stances, highlighting the intricate link between a nation's internal health and its external conduct on the global stage. Climate change is no longer solely an environmental issue, it is a profound geopolitical accelerant. Analysts suggest resource scarcity, mass migration, and extreme weather events will increasingly drive international conflict and cooperation. Strategic data points to nations vying for leadership in green technologies and adapting military strategies to climate-induced instability, underscoring its pivotal role in future power dynamics. In response to evolving threats, new strategic alliances and regional blocs are forming, challenging traditional alignments. Geopolitical trends indicate a pragmatic approach to partnerships, often driven by shared security concerns or economic interests, rather than purely ideological alignment. Strategic data points to the rise of minilateral groupings like a UK-US or the Quad, signaling a more fluid and flexible international system. The era, after Trump, is not a return to normalcy, but a complex recalibration of global power. Analysts suggest the world is navigating a multipolar landscape defined by strategic competition, technological rivalry, and a reassertion of national interests. The legacy of disruption has accelerated trends towards a fragmented yet interconnected world, where adaptability and strategic foresight are paramount for international stability.